Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know when my next videos are coming. Listen up y'all, let's jump right into it. Clearly there is trouble in paradise. It looks like there is an official breakup. I have been watching both pages like very closely, and the day before Tone Kapone's birthday, Phaedra deleted all of the pictures. She deleted all the pictures except for one, the original picture she posted of him and her, right? She deleted everything, and then on his birthday, he deleted later in the day, like around maybe 6 or 7, he deleted all the pictures of Phaedra on his page. They're still following each other. I don't know, maybe they gave an agreement or something that said, you know what, let's keep it on the low until my birthday, right? Because I was watching it and I was like, you know what, maybe if she goes to let's see if she goes to his party, because he had a party and everything like that he was hosting. And I was like, you know what? Let's see if she goes to the party. And his birthday was before the party. So it was that Friday. And honey, there was no shout out. She was shouting out other people. And she did not give him not one shout out. And then what she did was she posted a video of Beyonce getting it to Everybody Mad, right? And I'm like, savage. I mean, maybe. Savage. I mean, maybe she sent him a text. I don't know, but she didn't do any public shout outs or anything. And the thing is, I have been watching him every single weekday for the past 4.5 months since they announced it, and you kind of get an idea about his vibe, and you get an idea of Phaedra's vibe because she used to check in and be on the lives with him. Yes, I don't know either of them personally, but you kind of see the patterns of how they move, right? Whenever she goes out of town, to see him, she would post a picture. She would post stories of her journey to go to wherever that destination was, right? He would give her a shout out here and there on his stories or whatever, and he would low-key talk about their relationship on his show. He wouldn't give us too much details, but he would. And he would be open to some of the conversations and some of the questions that people had. So if somebody would say, oh, where's Phaedra? He'd be like, well, you know what? She's doing carpool right now. Or, you know, he'll give let's say he had a topic about dating tall women or whatever. And then somebody asked him, you know, how tall is Phaedra? He was like, oh, Phaedra's tiny. Like he would add little things like that. And what I realized with him is that he doesn't really have tough skin. When Wendy Williams, you know, she made her comments about him and called him a DJ, he felt some type of way.
This, that, and the other. But I can tell you this, like anybody, you got family members, right? Your family members call other family members, then it instantly gets to your mama. Now your mom calls you and she says, hey, like to me and my family, I'm sort of a big deal in my family. They're proud of me in a sense. And they're happy for what I've accomplished in my career. And my mom was like, yo, Wendy Williams, she did a cool thing, but I felt like she was kind of like little boy in you in a sense. So I watched it, and I watched it again. And I watched it another time. And I was just like, she is trying to little boy me. Now, in case you didn't get a chance to see it, here, let's take a look right here.
Dating a Chicago DJ. I don't know that I've ever met Tone Kapone, but that's Tone Kapone. That's a real popular DJ name that guys give them, a Tone Kapone.
Okay, stop right there. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. A long time. Now, I haven't seen anybody on air named Tone Kapone. Maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't. Or that's had the level of success that I've had. You know, I'm not going to run down the things that I've done, but like I said, to Wendy Williams, Wendy's been this big personality for a long time, and I get it. But she says, like, popular DJ. Now, for those of you that know me, from college, I did DJ in college, and I thought I was pretty nice at it. But I have not DJed for a very, very long time. I am what you call, I am an on-air personality. I don't get paid to play not one piece of music. To be matter of fact, in case you didn't know, all of the music that I'm going to play today on my shows, the multiple shows that I have, the music's all there. I had not one say-so in what I'm playing. Not one. I have nothing. I come in, I sit down, I come up with things to talk about, and I start talking. That's what I do. So I'm not a DJ. I'm an on-air personality. I talk for a living. Every dollar that's going to my check is for the way that I talk. It's what I say that makes people want to pay me to talk. Now, let's just keep going right here. I just had to stop at that point. Let's keep going.
I wonder if he shouts her out like when he does the top 888 countdown.
Now, that is the part that pissed me off. That is the top 888 countdown. Now, it's nothing wrong with any of my counterparts to do the top 888 countdown. Nothing at all. It's nothing at all. It's nothing wrong with it at all. But I haven't done that in an awful long time. Now, Wendy is familiar with radio, and maybe because she's been off dealing with things that she has in her personal life, she didn't have enough time to research what, my part, or maybe she just wanted to play me because she doesn't feel like that I'm a big enough personality with the person that I've dated. Shout out to Phaedra. There's a shout out. But she knows if you did any research, I do afternoons. I think she did afternoons.
Would say things like, you know what, oh, you clout chasing, your 15 minutes of fame is over. He would be like, you know what, I've been doing this radio thing. Nobody gave me a pass. I've been holding it down. You know what I mean? I didn't have to do anything, out of the ordinary. I worked hard for this position. Like, he would always feel like, you know what I mean? He would have to prove himself and all of that. So all of a sudden, the Kentucky Derby happened and they were in the same place, same time, sitting at the same table, and they didn't take any pictures together, right? So this is someone, Phaedra, who has been showing emotional PDA, right? All over his page. I can't wait till you get home, or I'm getting on the plane, and this and this and that. She would say some of the most PDA, TMI stuff under his posts. But then when somebody was like, oh, I didn't see you post any pictures with you and Tone, are you all still together? And what did she tell that woman? She said, mind your business. If you must know, he took the pic. And I felt like that's not the Phaedra that we've been seeing so far. She's been so open. She's been communicating with the fans. I mean, even, pretty much telling a fan that she would be willing, to move to Chicago, right? And he was saying stuff like, you guys would have to share me. So it sounded like he was willing to maybe, head over to Atlanta. I don't know. But they were kind of open with their relationship and everything like that. And so for the past few weeks, every time somebody on the live would mention something about Phaedra, he would be closed-lipped. He would not respond. And one day he finally broke and was like, I see the comments. Y'all see I'm not responding. I'm not giving you guys any tea. Right? So maybe he's like, y'all not getting any tea from me and all of this other stuff. And so I just was like, something is going on because this is not how he normally acts. And the week after the Kentucky Derby, a lot of his topics for Kapone Conversations were very cryptic, right? It was all about breakups, right? And his topics were kind of like, oh, if someone doesn't treat you well, but the sex is great, how do you feel about that? And people were commenting, and he was like, well, if you break up with somebody, you know what, should you break up with the friends and the family? And he was just like, well, sometimes things don't work out. It just sounded like you could hear the hurt in his voice, right, when he was answering some of the questions, but he didn't make it about him. He's like, what do y'all think? And I'm like, it was like literally for 5 days, it was like another comment about relationships or breakups, right? And I was like, what is he talking about? And so he was kind of like, yeah, if we break up, that means the perks are over and all this other stuff, and I don't answer calls, I just, especially if it's less than a year. And I'm like, why is he talking like this? You know what I mean? He always tells stories about his exes and stuff like that, but it's like every time people would be like, okay, is this about Phaedra or what's going on? He wouldn't answer. So he wouldn't make it clear that they were together. He wouldn't make it clear that they broke up. Like, he would not give any information at all, but he just was keep talking about breakups. And he was like, yeah, my perks. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, now that they have officially broken up, because ain't no woman gonna delete pictures of a dude. She deleted his pictures first. They waited a few weeks before making that announcement. The Kentucky Derby, she posted pictures May 6th. Today is the 26th of May. So she hasn't posted any pictures of him for almost a month now, right? And so ain't no woman gonna delete pictures of you if it's not over. So let's just assume it is. But I was thinking to myself, oh, nobody's gonna get my perks. Honey, your perks is nightlife. Phaedra's perks is the Kentucky Derby. And going through his pictures, he wasn't at the Kentucky Derby last year. Phaedra opened that door for him. And so I don't know, maybe he was talking in the general sense, but I just kind of felt like, I think his personality is gold. I think he's funny. I think, he's very charismatic. He has a way with words. He's a looker. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if he's soul food, right? And I just was like, when I was going through Phaedra's pictures, I was like, wait, she knows city officials. She knows upper echelon people. Like, why did she choose to date him? You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying she's better than him, but she's on a different level than him. I wondered why, she dated somebody that wasn't on her level. He didn't have 90,000 subscribers until he dated Phaedra. We didn't know who he was. And I understand, in Chicago, he's a household name, but we didn't know who he was. And I understand he worked really, really hard, and he's a household name in his city. So that's a great thing. Like DJ Khaled, he was a household name in Miami. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody knew Khaled. You know what I mean? But it's just like he's global now. So I'm not saying there's not room for Tone Kapone to grow, but I didn't know who he was. Let's just keep it a buck. I didn't know who he was. And so my thing is, okay, maybe there's nightlife people that Phaedra knows that lives in Chicago, or they're heading to Chicago and they had to connect with Tone. But the connections that Phaedra have is beyond nightlife. And he had another question that he asked, another show topic that was like, what could someone who works in the nightlife be in a relationship? That's radio personality, bartender, bottle girl, can those people have relationships and stuff like that? And he made a comment, and somebody called in, and they were a bartender. It was a woman, and he was like, doesn't, working in the nightlife help you get over a breakup faster? And I was like, whoa, you get what I'm saying? Like, okay, so he's telling us without telling us, okay? And so my thing is, I don't care how many parties you go through, how many, parties you go to, how much you turn up, or whatever the case may be. It ain't gonna hit you today, it ain't gonna hit you tomorrow, but it's gonna hit you. I don't care how short the relationship was. I mean, I do believe that Phaedra did open a door to him that he didn't have. And I feel like, I'm not saying who won, who lost, or whatever, but he got the better end of the deal. He got 90,000 subscribers. Okay, she's opened the door to him where people didn't know who the heck he was. So he got the better end of the deal. I don't think this is going to break Phaedra. I think Phaedra's going to come out on top. I mean, I have grown like a cool connection in the sense of a fan of his, because I have watched him over the, series of months. I wish him well and I wish her well. I feel really hurt because, as fans, you get invested in these relationships. We didn't even get to give them a name. If I would have given them a name, it would have been Faye Capone. That would have been a cute little ship name for them, or whatever the case may be. But I just kind of feel like I don't think that both of them fit each other's world and everything, because he was like, you know what, he's had a lot of breakups because of his job. He's been doing this since college and stuff like that. And he's like, he picked a job that's fun and it's a job for him. He's not doing anything out there. He's just doing his job. You know what I mean? And it's just like Phaedra can't handle it, because I was on the live that day when there was someone who gave him a compliment about his smile, and Phaedra clapped back on her, and she was kind of like, yes, I know he has a nice smile, pretty much telling her to back off. And then that week of the breakup conversations that he was talking about, and he was talking about, do men and women argue differently, and he was like, people were pretty much saying that women fight tough, and he was making a comment about pretty much he doesn't really, some men like fighters, but he runs away from fighters. He runs. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's Phaedra. Phaedra is a fighter. Like, she seems like she's very possessive, she's very territorial, and I think there's a reason why she keeps commenting under his page and shows her presence when she came on the live, to show other women that this is mine, this is where I'm at. And she would just say things under his stuff like, I'm so glad you're mine. And she would say things like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, who is she trying to tell to back off? And it might be her way of telling other women to back off. And women are disrespectful. They clearly knew he was in a relationship. They knew Phaedra would pop on the lives sometimes even 2 to 3 times a week. She would pop up on the lives, you know what I mean, to just kind of support him or whatever. And these women were still, you look so good, you look this and this and that. But I mean, he seemed like a faithful dude. Phaedra had asked him about a woman, and her name was Miss Tone Kapone. And he was like, when that name popped up on the live, he was like, look, Phaedra, I don't know who this woman is, I'm gonna block her. Like, he just seemed like he was declarative about where he stood. He didn't seem like a player, but when he did talk about relationships on there, I didn't know if he was a bachelor or in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, the way he talked about women, you know what I mean? And so I just think that, it's just they kind of wanted to have fun, and they didn't realize, what? I can't deal with a dude that is in the club every night. You know what I mean? And she couldn't handle that. And he couldn't handle being Mr. Phaedra Parks, because everybody kept, how is it like dating someone on her level? You could not get someone on that level, right? So he had to constantly fight, to share who he was and his accolades and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? So both of them tried to make a situation work, but you know what I mean? I think that Phaedra needs to date someone on her level. And the type of women that Tone Kapone talks about his interest in, it's like, okay, wait a minute. You in the nightlife, but you don't want to date a woman in the nightlife. You get what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I don't like the women that be going to everybody's table. I don't like the women that be always in somebody's face. I don't like the women who, you know what I'm saying? She got a lot of bros and a lot of guy friends. But the way he tells his stories, it really seems like he's been around the block. So, you know what I mean? Every day he has a story about a different woman. So wait a minute. You can share stories about a different woman and all your escapades, but you don't want to date a woman that's been around the block. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that, there's a double standard to that. Even spiritually, he was like, he goes to church and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. I think it's great that he's going to church and everything like that. But he was like, you know what, Phaedra going to help him on the scriptures and stuff and get his scripture game up. So it just seemed like it was like a cute couple where, you know, iron sharpens iron. Maybe he could have taught Phaedra to have more fun, to loosen up, and maybe, you know what, she could have taught him, you know what, dress it up, clean it up, you know what I mean, and bring him into spaces he would never have been in. And so let's not act like he doesn't realize that Phaedra has the clout that she does, because when he added her to a live, like her face, like she joined the live, and he was like, dang, you know, my numbers jump right up, you know, and he was like, that's what 2.5 million followers would do. So he's well aware of Phaedra's followers. He's well aware of her clout. He's well aware of that. I'm not saying he used her for that, but that was a huge perk. So I'm sorry, like your perks versus Phaedra Park's perks is not on the same level. You know what? I wish they could have maybe fixed it. I mean, it's on the low. But the fact that she didn't publicly shout him out for his birthday, he seems like someone that doesn't forgive easy. He just seems like someone that, you know what I mean? Like he takes things to the heart. So I don't know if he could recover from that. And we don't know what happened. We only got his side of the story. But on the low, you know what I mean? And I just feel like, I know Phaedra probably didn't want this to be over because, you know, Claudia Jordan, you know, from the beginning of the relationship was saying the type of dude he was, and he was dealing with other women. And so now Phaedra believed that he wasn't, and she was holding him down. But I think the fact that Claudia Jordan threw that out there, I think that really started putting some doubt, even though she let it go. I really think that put some doubt in her mind, because he made a comment, you know, early on, you know, this year, like he got hit with the, what is this? And a cell phone in his face, you know, literally got woken up by, what is this? You know what I mean? And he was like, I wanted to be petty and say something back online, but you know what? I'm a public figure. I'm a radio personality, and I can't cut up the way I want to cut up. Right. So he would spill the beans here and there and give us a little insight, but he wouldn't make the whole show about Phaedra. So when he closed the doors on us and was like, I'm not telling y'all nothing, I was like, whoa, something is going on. And you know what? It makes me really, really sad, you know. And I mean, if Michelle and Chad could come back together on the low, maybe they could work it out. But it's really hard, being that it's a long distance relationship. When you're in the same city, the same state, you could just pull up, you know what I mean? Being that they don't even live close together, you know, they have to get on a plane to argue, you know what I mean? Then I just felt like, you know, the long distance relationship, they made it work, but if you're trying to come back together, it's really hard when it's long distance, you know what I mean? But I mean, I'm dancing every, you know, I'm having a good time, and he's partying 3 days a week. I don't care what it is, you're gonna feel that breakup. You know what I mean? I mean, you're going to dance and stuff, but if your heart is heavy, you know what I mean? And I saw the day party, and I was like, that don't look like Phaedra's vibe. You know, I saw the day party and all this other stuff, him at the club. That just doesn't look like Phaedra's vibe. I know she tried her best to make it work, but I don't think she was ready for that lifestyle. She didn't put that into consideration, that this man would be at the club every night. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's his lifestyle. And even like Diddy, he's a party dude, but he don't be at the club every night. You know what I'm saying? But, I don't know. I just wish them the best. Like I said, I just kind of feel like, you know, the question about dating a radio personality or dating a nightlife person, if it would be really hard, it would be, because this person is sharing your business all over the world. Even though he doesn't say your name, you can kind of put two and two together. And it's all fun and games to be dating a radio personality until you are the topic of conversation, right? He's always, and I don't like a person that kisses and tells. And the perspectives that he normally shares is always the woman that did him so wrong, or he'll share his stuff too. But, you know, like, you know, he's like, you know what, if we don't work out, he used to in the past would just grab another chick and add her to to the situation, and he was honest. He was like, that's not right. But now, you know what I mean, 2019, I'm not that type of dude. So I mean, he does share some of the stuff, and he was telling other callers, you know, choose better, choose people on a higher frequency than you or whatever. But I just feel like, why did they get together? You know what I mean? I just feel like, you know what, Phaedra needs to understand who she is and get a revelation of who she is. And if he's not on her level, eventually she wasn't going to respect him. You know what I mean? The respect would kind of dwindle. Eventually she needs someone on her level that's not at the club every day, that is on her level, that has a business, that's doing his thing. And you know what? I honestly think that she could date a radio personality, just not one that's on at the club every day. You know what I mean? I don't think, you know, like, let's say Charlamagne, he's married. He don't be at the club every day. He makes appearances, but he don't be at the club every day. But maybe he had to work to that level, and maybe Tone Kapone will get to that level one day. But you know, that's who she is with right now. And so if she can't handle that, then that's not the dude she could deal with. And he needs to date a club girl. He needs to date someone at the club, and they could go to the club together every night. That's who he needs to deal with. He did mention, he said, you know what, I don't really have anyone to talk to about these things. And it's like therapy for me, like, you know, just sharing how he feels on the radio. And I'm like, that's not safe. Complete strangers should not be, even though he's not using any names, complete strangers should not be the place where you share what's going on with your heart. You know what I'm saying? I think he needs to go to therapy for real. Don't use it. I mean, you know, YouTubers and stuff, they share a lot of their heart and their emotions and stuff like that. But I feel like you got to couple that with real therapy. Like all the stuff he's sharing about the relationships he's been in, like they're all traumatic stuff. And I'm like, well, dang, like at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, maybe it's not these women, maybe I'm doing something wrong. And when people were like, oh, do you have a baby on the way? He's like, hell no, I don't have a baby on the way. And you know, oh no, I don't want a woman who if she doesn't have children already. You know what I mean? And he also mentioned something about, you know, on the second date, if someone talks about marriage, he's out of there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, is this someone who wants to be married at all? Like, did Phaedra realize that this person, you know, marriage is not in the forefront of his mind? He's had long-term relationships. He's been engaged, he said, but he just gives me like a serial bachelor. Like, I don't think he wants to be in a serious relationship. He probably psyched himself into it, you know what I mean? Like, okay, this will be great, or whatever the case may be. But I think it's not something that he wants. I mean, the guy on the radio, the macho that I get from it or whatever, he just really seems emotionally unavailable based on what I'm hearing. Cause it's like you see the videos of Russell Wilson talking about his family. There's a different energy there. You watch the videos, if you haven't, of Devon Franklin and how he thinks about relationships and how he feels about relationships. There's a different energy there. There's a maturity that those men have that I feel like, even though he's talking, you know, Tone Kapone is giving relationship advice or giving his opinion, I think there's a level of maturity that's missing there, that I think that, you know what I mean, he needs to go through therapy. He needs to heal from all of the traumatic situations, and he needs to look in the mirror to see what he's doing wrong. And Phaedra too got to look in the mirror and say, you know what, why did I to be with him outside of the way he looks? What was it about him that attracted me? And if it's only because you like arm candy, then there's something that she has to look at within herself, because I didn't know that her ex-husband, one of my friends was telling me that he was a felon already. So I understand, you know, as women, we want to give men a chance, you know what I'm saying? But we got to really look at the receipts of all the people that they've dated. I don't want to hear, that would be hard for me every single time to jump on the live and hear the person that I'm dealing with. He's always talking about some other woman that he's dealt with. And I understand, like, your past is your past, but it's like, we don't want to keep hearing about all those escapades. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I was like, okay, with that, if she like it, I love it. But eventually you can't, that's not sustainable, especially when you don't take any responsibility of your part in why it didn't work out. You know what I mean? Or why are you picking women that constantly is abusing you or hurting you? Like things like that. I feel like he needs to do your radio thing, but I think he needs to go to therapy, like real therapy, and really heal from all of the stuff that he's been through. The radio is not therapy. And so that's my take on it. You know, I really got the inside scoop low key by being on all of his lives and stuff like that. I don't know where I stand. I'm still team Phaedra. You know, I think he's a cool dude. I think he's going to spill the beans. He's going to give us more. People are going to annoy him. He doesn't have thick skin. They're going to keep asking about Phaedra, and eventually he might crack. We'll see. I think maybe they made an agreement, though. Let's announce it after my birthday, because it's very interesting how she waited until right before his birthday to start deleting everything. And so I'm surprised the Shade Room hasn't come up on this, but that's my take on it. All the fake Kapone followers, what do y'all think? What did y'all think about this? Put your comments below. Let's have a conversation. All right now. Bye. Talk to y'all later.